to the 5 takeaways and see what 5 things we can take away from that 4-1 defeat to Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And the first thing we're going to look at is the sweeper keeper.
And I think Vicario probably took that to the extreme yesterday with his sweeping, which was absolutely exceptional in the second half. The amount of times he was coming out of his penalty area and making defensive actions outside the penalty box. In fact, you know, he had a very busy game, but he only made 3 saves on the day. And actually, a lot of it came from his sweeping, which was the best stuff. And he made 12 sweeping actions in the game, which is more than any keeper in any game this season has made. He's actually top of the league in terms of sweeping actions throughout the whole season with 33, which is 8 more than any other keeper this season, which shows he's really getting to grips with that sweeping role that he's been asked to perform under Postecoglou. And I was looking back to last season, no keeper made 12 sweeping actions outside the box in one game than Vicario. So really, really impressive. And again, he just seems to be getting better and better each week. And I think you need supreme confidence to do what Vicario did yesterday. And I think he showed that. But he didn't only have the confidence to do it, but he had the quality to do it as well, to time those runs to perfection. And he was just absolutely fantastic from Vicario.
Yeah, I do think he was a little bit helped by the Chelsea front line, who were quite poor and mistiming their runs and not playing perfect balls over the top and in behind Spurs. But I don't think you can take away anything from Vicario. He was absolutely immense yesterday. And when have you last said that? Spurs concede 4 goals, but the goalkeeper gets man of the match. It's absolutely nuts. And my love for Vicario, I've made it very clear how much I love that guy. And it just went up tenfold yesterday after that performance yesterday. Elite mentality from Vicario. And he's just a pleasure to watch. He really is a pleasure to watch. And I think he's the best performing goalkeeper in the league at the moment. And I don't think really anyone can argue against it. So unbelievable performance from Vicario. Unfortunate to concede 4 goals, but nothing is of his own doing. So big up to Vicario. Let's move on to number 2. And we're going to look at Højbjerg at centre-back.
Yeah, and I thought he actually played a really good role when he was playing in centre back yesterday, and surprisingly played a very crucial role for the team. We're moving in that role because we're down to 9 men. We're playing a very high line. He's got a lot of work to do, but I thought he did exceptional to fill in that role. He made 5 clearances on the day, which is more than any other defender, made 1 tackle, but still maintained a 95% passing accuracy, which, considering he came on the pitch when we were down to 10 and then 9, he never came on the pitch when we had 11 men. To maintain a 95 passing accuracy, 95% is very, very impressive as well.
He misplaced 1 pass, right?
I'm not sure, actually. Let me just check. But 95%.
Yeah. Accurate passes, 21 out of 22.
Yes, there you go. So really, really impressive numbers from Højbjerg, and really impressive showing. So maybe he's trying to fight his way into the starting 11 at the moment.
Well, he's going the right way about it, because every time he's called upon, bar that game in the Cup where he was terrible, every single game he stepped into in the league this season, he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely brilliant. And these are the kind of players, this is the mentality we need from players coming off the bench and coming off the periphery, because we need a whole squad. We don't need just the first 11 to start doing well. That's been our problem for so long under so many different managers. How many times have we gone into like cup games in the Conference League and the Europa League where we play our second string team and they're just nowhere near good enough? Yes, that did happen against Fulham in the Cup. But when these players are coming on now in the Premier League games, specifically Højbjerg, they're standing up for the team and they're showing their elite mentality. And another one of that on show yesterday from Pierre. So I think he's really showing his worth for the team. And I think if we do sell him in January, I think it could be a mistake, because it's hard for these players to come by. Players that are just coming in off the bench and putting performances like that. I don't know.
Would you start him a centre-back?
I think I would after that showing. I mean, what other options do we have?
Yeah, it's either him or Phillips and Dorrington, I guess. Or Emerson or
Davis. We need him at left back. Dogi's out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, difficult.
What options do we have? It's not like we're blessed with options.
Maybe no Dyer. Play Højbjerg as the main centre-back.
Højbjerg, what, just by himself? Højbjerg and Dorrington. Højbjerg and Phillips. Yeah. I don't know.
You've got decisions to make.
Yeah, I mean, playing a high line with Højbjerg and Dyer at the back, that is just a recipe for disaster.
Can't wait for it.
Let's move on to number 3, and it's back to Reckless Romero.
Yeah, and he had an absolute shock yesterday. It wasn't just the red card, but he just literally was on a mission to pretty much kick and push anyone he could yesterday, and ultimately it cost Tottenham. He barged Thiago. He went for a run for some reason in the Chelsea half, which pretty much kicked off a lot of the bad moments for Tottenham. He barged Thiago Silva over. He then kicked out a Levi Colwill. He then gives the ball away in the lead up to Caicedo's goal. He then tries to win the ball back, having given it away, and ends up following through on a challenge and giving away a penalty and giving away a red card. It was just a massive day to forget for Coutinho Romero, who's been so good this season at how he's been so controlled with his aggression, but he just boiled over, unfortunately, yesterday, and hopefully it's something he can learn from. But very disappointing game for Romero and in the season.
Is he going to learn from it? I mean, we've been saying this for a long time with Coutinho Romero now, to be honest. Like, is he going to learn from it? Because this is things that happen every season now. Literally every season, we see these kind of moments in there from Coutinho Romero. Granted, he's got much better at it so far this season. He's been brilliant and we've commended him for it. But these things keep creeping back into his game, and he needs to watch himself, especially in these big games. Like I said in the player ratings, the 2 games where he's come unstuck this season is the Arsenal game, we're giving away a penalty and giving away an own goal. In this game, he gives away a penalty and gets sent off, and he probably could have got sent off a lot earlier than he got sent off, to be honest. So it's these big games where he kind of gets overruled by the occasion, and maybe his aggressive nature gets the better of him. But do we really want to eradicate that from his game as well? Because that's kind of where he flourishes, where he's that aggressive defender and he's got that calming presence of Mickey van der Ven next to him. He just needs to carefully toe that line, which he's been doing brilliantly so far this season. So I really hope he can learn from it and show what he has been showing for the most part this season. But he put us under massive pressure yesterday, and he is a massive part of why we lost the game 4-1 yesterday. So I love Coutinho Romero, but he needs to eradicate these things from his game.
Let me ask you this in a hypothetical. Let's say he misses 8 games this season through suspension, but in the other 30 games, he plays those games like he's been playing them this season. Would that be worth it?
8 games is a lot.
But 30 games at that level is also a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to answer, to be honest. I think
I'll probably say it is worth it.
You think so?
I'll probably say it is, yeah.
The thing is with Romero, I think that he can like him playing like he has all season hasn't been we haven't been worried about moments about like what we saw yesterday. So I want to see him play like he has all season, bar the game against Chelsea, because even against Arsenal I felt like he towed the line between being overly aggressive and being aggressive. He just got unlucky in a couple of moments, but I feel like for the most part of the season, for 90% of his season this year, he's been absolutely brilliant and perfect. It's just those moments that he needs to wipe out, like where it happens every so often, and I think he can wipe out those moments like we saw against Chelsea and still perform at a very high level. I don't think it has to be one or the other.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a hypothetical. If you have to choose, like is that acceptable?
Does that mean we have to play 8 games with Eric Dyer at the back?
It just means you have to play 8 games without Romero.
Yeah, look, if we had cover in the back line, I don't think it would be too much of a problem, and I probably would choose for him to miss those 8 games and not to change his game whatsoever. But since we don't have cover, I don't think we can afford it.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
So that's the situation with Coutinho Romero. Let's move on to number 4, and that is the mega high line.
Yeah, and it's either crazy or it's genius, whatever way you want to look at it. But when we went down to 9 men, we did this something which is incredible. It was almost like a 0-7-1 formation, or almost. We seem to be playing in that second half, and it was one of the most incredible.
It was just like a 9,
just like
8.
a 9. It was just it
was an 8. It was 8 players in one line.
You could almost call Vicario an outfielder. It was almost like a 1-8-0. Like it was crazy. The formation we played, and the tactic, I guess, was to rush Chelsea into playing fast balls over the top and planning for those balls over the top with Vicario sweeping, forcing turnovers which meant that you could get as much possession as possible while you had 9 men, rather than sitting in the deep block waiting basically to be attacked and giving possession to the opposition and just waiting for them to try and break you down and score a goal. You do it on your terms, so you force them to make the quick passes, you plan for the quick passes, and then once you get the ball you can make a quick transition and try and score yourself. It nearly worked with if we had a few opportunities obviously late on with Bentancur and Dyer and Son creating an opportunity which could have got a goal. Unfortunately, we did end up going against us with a late hat trick from Nicholas Jackson, which ultimately will be the most important thing. But was the tactic crazy or genius? There's a lot of debate about it at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both, to be honest. I really do. It was like, I've never seen something so crazy before in my life. It was borderline insanity what we did yesterday. It really was, playing that completely high line with 9 men. But I guess it's, which way do you want to go? Do you want to see us play the way that Liverpool did? Put every man behind the ball and make it really difficult for the opposition? Or do we want to give ourselves a fighting chance to actually get something out of the game, or actually go and winning the game? We had the chances to. If we put away one of 3 of those chances, or 2 of those chances, because one of them were offside, but if we put away one of those chances, we could be talking about Ange as a complete genius and not even bringing in the insanity factor to it. But we did lose 4-1, so you do have to ask the question, and I do think it was pretty much insane what we did yesterday. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. And if I could go back and rewrite the script and choose a different way of playing, would I? I'm not sure if I would, to be honest, because I think it was such an unbelievable thing to see. But look, you got to commend it, but you also got to say, like, maybe you could have gone a different route to get something out of the game. But that's the way Ange plays, and he's not going to change for anyone, and that's what we got to live and die by.
Even if we have 5 players, he said, we're going to have a go.
It's mad.
And that's Ange.
I'm still so conflicted about it, though, because it's something I've never seen before, and because it was like so insane, and because of what we've like been living through the past few years with Conte and Mourinho and playing that completely backwards football, it is a bit of a breath of fresh air to see something like that, especially when we're down to 9 men. But I do feel like, yeah, we could have gone with a different route and actually got something out of the game.
I think there are definitely ways to try and get a draw. But in terms of if you're trying to win the game, I don't think there was a better way of trying to win it than what we did.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Let's move on to the 5th and final takeaway, and this was more than just a loss.
Yeah, and to cast your mind back to 24 hours ago, it seems like a long time ago now, and we're in dreamland. We're top of the league, we're unbeaten, we have very few injuries apart from a couple of long-term injuries. Everyone's starting to get back. You're thinking, all right, things are looking great, things are really, like, nothing could go wrong at the moment.
Spurs fans are looking at the forward in the fixtures, saying, when are we going to fight for this title, people?
We've got City Club, we're counting the fixtures, and literally within 45 minutes, Maddison has picked up an injury. Van de Ven looks like he's picked up a long-term injury. Romero has a 3-game ban. Udogie has a 1-game ban. Obviously happened after the game, but Richarlison has announced he's having surgery now, so he could be out for a while. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how much can change within pretty much a 24-hour period, or even a 45-minute period, or even a 5-minute period. That's what it all happened in a 5-minute period. Romero got sent off, Van de Ven went down injured, and Maddison went off, all in a 5-minute period in that first half.
Literally, when Romero gets sent off, in the back of my mind, I was saying, at least we've got Van de Ven. Like, if we go down to 10 men, like, he's so much more important to have than Akuti Romero. And then a few minutes later, he goes down, and literally...
And you're thinking, at least we have Maddison.
At least we have... Oh, shit, Maddison's going off as well.
At least you have Udogie.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then he goes off over the first 5 minutes. Like, literally, it just got progressively worse and worse and worse and worse as the game wore on yesterday. It was just mad.
We're going to see what we're made of now, because we've the whole season we've been saying we're only 1 injury away from this happening or that happening. We didn't think we'd get like 4 or 5 in one day, but we did. And now we're going to see what like Ange can do when the chips are down, when things are going against us, when we don't have the perfect players for the system. Because I think we've been basically kind of operating in this whole first 10 games of the season with literally perfect players for each position in terms of what we want. And we've been saying it all season, our first 11 is actually really good. And I'm looking at our first 11, not too many weaknesses there right now. But now... we can have probably Dyer at centre-back. We're going to have maybe Maddison might be missing for a few games. We're not going to be having no Romero or Van de Ven at centre-back as well. Like Van de Ven sweeping and playing with his pace at centre-back. So we're going to see what we're about now when Postecoglou has to maybe, I don't know about adjusting his way of playing or how the players who are going to come in adjust to how we play. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Postecoglou can do with players who maybe aren't perfect for the system and how we adjust.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And I said it before, but if Ange can get us through this period, specifically the next 3 games without Mickey Van de Ven and Coutinho Romero, this guy is an absolute. He's literally the Messiah. Like literally.
I'm not going to say that we're going to keep getting results, but I think we can still remain competitive even without these players because of the way we play. I think because I still believe we can create chances and score goals even without these players on the pitch, but it's about whether losing them will mean that we concede too many rather than score too many, or can we still outscore the opposition? That's going to be a big talking point.
I think we can, but the problem is that we're going through our hardest period of the season now.
Yeah, it's a tough period. We've got tough games. Yeah.
We go Wolves away next game, which, you know, they're looking all right, but that's actually our easiest game over the next 5 or 6 games. After that, we got Villa at home, Man City away, Newcastle at home, West Ham at home. So, I mean, how are we going to get through this period against teams that are all in good form? You know, Aston Villa, one of the form teams of the year in the league this year. Man City. Newcastle have turned things around. They're performing unbelievably well this season. West Ham are a match for anyone on their day as well. So, I mean, how are we going to get through this run without losing game after game with how decimated we are? I just don't get how.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Like if we had the previous 5 games instead of the next 5 games, we would have given ourselves a bit of a fighting chance, because I think we are better man for man than any of those teams. But these next 5 games is going to be so difficult, man. It's come at the complete wrong time.
It's going to be very difficult, but I think we can still compete. I really believe that. Maybe not against Man City. I think we'll struggle in that game, but I think against Villa and Wolves, we can still win those games even with the injuries that we have.
Let's hope so. But that is our 5 takeaways.